I think let's start this session. I'll introduce myself first. My name is Irshad Ahmed Ansari, and I come from a very small city called Balia in Uttar Pradesh. And I have done my graduation in BFA in Applied Arts from Jamia Millia Islamia. And after completing my graduation, I went to Mumbai and completed my post-graduation in animation and film design from IDC IT Bombay. And I have been working as a brand designer and motion graphic designer for almost 5 years. And now for last 5 months, I decided to focus on my watercolor. And I just starting taking online workshops, and I'll also provide full courses. So if any one of you interested to join my watercolor course, feel free to DM me after this workshop. And in this workshop, I'll talk about the basic watercolor materials and basic techniques of watercolor. And we'll talk about how to paint water ripples and water reflections. And in the end of the video, I'll be demonstrating landscape. So I've shared you an image for reference. So you can take this. You can take that image for reference. And yeah, so that's all about this course and my introduction. So if anybody has any question or anybody want to say anything before starting this session, just feel free to write down in the comment section or just directly you can ask.
At least, guys, it will be great if you can just, it would be great if you can just tell me your city name, write down in the comment. Let's make it a bit interactive. Okay, so let's talk. Can you hear me, right? Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes.
Perfect, perfect. Okay. All right. So let's start this session. Hi, myself, Ranjan. I'm from Bangalore. That's it. That's it. Uh, okay. So I'll just talk about the watercolor material first. Like, what are the materials you need for painting, for doing watercolor painting? So first of all, you need watercolor paper. So I'll talk about the paper first. I'm using an Indian brand called Chitrapat paper. It's 270 GSM and it's 100% cotton and cold pressed. So this is like good for watercolor painting. So yeah, if you have any question regarding paper, just feel free to ask. I'll talk about GSM and textures and what is cotton percentage, what is cold pressed, hot pressed. So if you don't have idea, you can feel free to ask me. So basically, watercolor paper comes in a two forms. One which is cold pressed and one which is hot pressed. So cold pressed paper is nothing. It just has a good texture and it's good for a landscape painting or any kind of painting if you need a texture. And hot pressed paper is very smooth. You won't be able to get those textures. So that kind of paper is good for doing calligraphy or maybe illustration, maybe portrait, or maybe any kind of botanical painting. So depending on your style, what you want to paint. You can choose your paper, and I'd suggest you to always prefer more than 250 GSM for watercolor, and 100% cotton. So if your paper is 100% cotton, you'll be able to get a lot of time to play around the colors on the surface. Otherwise, it will get dry very soon. So just these are few things you should know about the paper. And apart from the paper, I am using these brushes. So these are basically mop brushes, and the brand is the Stro brand, and it's easily available on any platform, e-commerce platform like Amazon or maybe Flipkart. So yeah, it comes in a set of four and has a different size. So this one is number eight. This one is number four. This one is two, and this one is zero. And apart from these brushes, the can see the brushes. Yeah, I'm sharing the screen as well. Can you guys uh, see these brushes and my canvas, my paper, my sketchbook? Hello, hello. Okay, so yeah, these are the brushes. And apart from these four brushes, I have some fine brushes as well, like 000, and I have a flat brush. This is like 1.5 inch flat brush. So it helps me to fit the paper very quickly. And apart from these brushes, I have colors. I don't use very expensive color. I am using an Indian brand, Camel Artist Watercolor. It's very affordable, and I'm sure all of you have used this watercolor. This tube comes in different sizes as well. So this is like 20 ml size, and the price of this tube is 130. So depending on the shape, uh, you'll get the prices. And apart from this tube, I have this cake as well. So that's pretty much useful for me. It's again Camel Artist Watercolor cake, and I have a two set of color palette. So this is my primary color palette, and I have all the colors in my palette. And this is my secondary color palette. So I basically use it for mixing the colors. I'll just talk about the shades I am using. So this is Srishti Chaudhary. You have raised your hand. You have any question? Okay, all right. So guys, if you have any questions, just feel free to ask. Don't be shy. Okay. Uh, you can ask in Hindi or English. So this is permanent orange. This is raw umber. This is sepia. This one is burnt sienna. This is cerulean blue. This one is ultramarine blue. This one is indigo, olive green, permanent green light. This one is yellow ochre, sap green, cambon hue, Prussian blue, mauve color, and this one is scarlet lake. Can you share full screen? I'm not sure if I will share. That's the pretty much I can show, guys. It's full screen. I guess you can just pin my second camera, so you'll be able to see it uh, on a bigger size. Okay, so these are the colors I'll be using and I have been using so far. So yeah, uh, I have water container. So always use a big container for water so that your water won't get dirty very soon. Don't use like tiny container for watercolor, otherwise it will get dirty very soon and it will make your painting very dull. So yeah, I have a few masking tapes as well to mask my paper on the board, and yeah, that's pretty much. I have like cloth to clean my brush and to remove the excess water sometimes. So this is all about watercolor materials. And if you guys have any questions, just feel free to ask. Otherwise, I'll move ahead with the basic techniques of watercolor since we don't have a lot of time, so we need to be fast. But if you have any doubt, if you have any questions, just feel free to ask. You can just write down in the comments. Okay. Anybody has joined outside from India? All right. So I think you guys don't have any questions. So I'll move ahead with the watercolor technique. Like, what are the techniques you can use for watercolor? So there are basically three basic techniques which is very useful for any kind of painting, any kind of watercolor painting. So the one is wet on wet, the second is wet on dry, and the third one is dry brushing technique. And I'm sure there is a lot of there is a lot more techniques as well, but these three are like a very basic, very useful for any kind of painting. So I'll just uh, talk it about more with demonstration, like how this technique work. Do you have any idea what is wet on wet technique? How many of you are beginner? Can you just raise your hand? So people, okay, all right, perfect. So I think a lot of people are beginner only. All right. So let's talk about uh, wet on wet technique first. So I'll just draw a box here. Okay, and let's say I have to paint this area. Okay, I can zoom in. Yeah, is it clear now? Perfect. Okay, so I was talking about wet on wet. So let's say I need to paint this area. So first I'll start wetting my paper. Okay, so you need to wet your paper with a clean water. So like this is my water and I'm just going to wet this area. Make sure the water is clean, otherwise it will uh, make your painting very dull. Okay, so you need to just wet your area first. Don't use a lot of water. Like your paper shouldn't be flooded with the water. and let your paper soak the water, and then you can again wet the area. So you can see the amount of water is applied on the paper. It's not very flooded, but again, it has a good amount of water on the surface. Yeah. Okay. So now to paint this area, I will use my color. So let's say I am using cerulean blue for that. So you can see the mixture here. Your pigment should be fluid enough to flow along with the water. And then we can just paint the area from the top and let your color flow downwards along with the water. So in watercolor, you don't have to mix your color forcefully with the brushes. Okay, so you need to play with the water. Yeah, so that's how you can paint the area. And my paper is still wet, and I can see a lot of water is coming downwards here. So I'll just lift this water. So I'll tell you how to lift the extra color from your paper, or maybe the extra water from your paper. So first uh, you need to clean your brush, and then you need to remove all the excess water from your brush. So just wipe it on the cloth, or maybe tissue paper or paper towel. So now my brush doesn't have any amount of water; it only has some moisture, and I'll just place it to lift the extra water. Okay, so yeah, that's how you can lift the color and water as well. And let's say this is my sky, and I want to paint the mountain, which is very far from us. So let's say for the mountain, I'm using mauve color, and this time I will keep my pigment. I'll keep my mixture slightly thicker, which means I'm not adding a lot of water. So this is very thick mixture. You can see it's like a very cream, not very fluid. You can see itself in the color palette. And I'll apply it on the paper, and you'll see the difference there. So when my color is thick, I am getting a very controlled blend. So you can see here, my shape is maintained, and my color is very rich. So whenever you want a very controlled and very rich color on paper and very controlled blend, your pigment should be very thick, which means you don't have to add a lot of water in your mixture. Okay. Yeah. So this is pretty much all about wet on wet technique. So you need to keep working on the wet surface. Okay. So let's say if you want to add some depth in this uh, mountain, so you can again make a very dark and very thick mixture, and you can just paint it like this. Yeah, to add some depth downwards. So you can see now my paper is still wet, and Yeah, it has a lot of moisture on the surface. So that's why I'm not getting any hard edges. You can see a smooth transition between these. But again, since your color was slightly thick, you are still able to see these shapes here. Yeah. So if you need a very soft and controlled blend, just go with the wet on wet technique. All right. Any doubt? Any questions so far? Guys, let's make it interactive. थोड़ा बात करते हैं, ठीक है? Otherwise, you can watch thousands of video on YouTube. That doesn't make sense if you're not interacting here. Okay, so all right. So I think you guys don't have any. Did the paper very fine? Yes, the drying time depends on on the quality of paper and the environment you are in. So let's say if you are in a summer environment and it's very hot, your paper will get dry very soon. Let's say if you're in a winter place and it's very cold, so it will take a time to dry. And also it depends on the percentage of cotton. If you have 100% uh, cotton in your paper, so it will take a lot of time to dry. And if you have less percentage of cotton, it will dry very soon. So yeah, that's why 100% cotton paper comes very expensive. Okay, I hope Cargo, you got your answer. Anybody has other question? Should I move ahead? Okay, all right. So this was wet on wet technique, and now I'll talk about wet on dry technique. Okay, let's see again. I'm just drawing a box here, and let's say I need to paint this area. So this time I want uh, wet my paper first and directly use the color on the dry paper. So that's why we call it wet on dry, which means you are using wet paper on dry surface. Okay, so you can directly use your color on the paper. So let's say if you want to blend two colors and create a smooth gradient, so you can directly change the area, and now you can see these hard edges. Okay, what is the best watercolor paper for beginners? uh, I mean, it completely depends on your budget. So even you can start with a very cheap paper as well, but once you know the process and once you know the techniques of watercolor, you will be able to do it on any kind of paper. So this is not like watercolor paper. This is 150 GSM sketchbook. So you can just check it out. There are a lot of brands available. You can use handmade paper. Yes. So on the wet on dry technique, you will be able to see those hard edges. Your colors are not blending. Yeah. So if you need a hard edges, you can go with the wet on dry technique. And let's say if you want to blend these colors along with the different colors, and then you can obviously just pick your second color and blend along with the first color. But make sure the first color should be wet enough to blend. Okay. So yeah, this is all about it on technique. Any questions so far? Mine did not blend it. Okay, so there are few reasons. Your first color shouldn't be dry while blending two colors. So make sure your first color is dry enough. Make sure your first color is wet enough to blend along with the second color. So you have to be very quick while blending two colors, and also your pigment should be very fluid. It should have a lot of water in the mixture. Okay. Any questions so far?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. So let's move ahead with the third technique, which is dry brushing technique. So in the dry brushing technique, you don't need to add a lot of water. So you need to clean your brush and remove all the excess water from your brush. And you have to use a very dry color, which means you don't need to add a lot of water. So let's say this is my color, and you can see this is very dry, and my brush is also dry. That's why we call it dry brushing technique. It only has moisture but not water. Okay, and now you need to hold your brush very softly and press it against the paper very lightly to get the texture. So you can see these textures there. Yeah. So depending on the quality of paper, you will get different textures. But you don't need to press your brush a lot. Okay, you just need to press it very softly to get the texture. And your brush should be dry, so the color also. Okay. Any question?
Sir, can you tell the uses of these techniques, like with in
Okay.
which scenery that dry brush is used or wet on wet is used?
Yeah. I'll tell you definitely. I'll demonstrate a landscape and we'll talk about this technique. Okay. And also there are few things you need to know. So there are different kind of wash. So first is like a flat wash. So let's say if you're painting anything very flat, just filling the area. So like this is flat wash. So not blending it along with the color or not making any kind of gradient, you know. So this is your flat wash. And there are other washes as well, which is graded wash. So let's say if you are making a gradient, so this is your graded wash. Yeah, so this is your flat wash. And this is your graded wash. All right, any question so far? So now you can see a lot of colors here, and you can lift these colors using your dry brush. So first you need to clean your brush, and you need to remove those excess water from the brush. And now you can see my brush doesn't have any kind of water, and you can just place it on the color, and it will lift your color automatically. Yeah, can you see? Even you can lift the colors as well using this technique. Let's say if you want to lift colors from here to here, you can lift like this. But while lifting this color, make sure your wash is still wet, shouldn't be dry. Now you can lift these colors. Let's say if you want to create some sort of clouds, you can lift these colors with the brush and create some clouds here. Must have brushes for beginners. I mean, you should have round brushes and flat brushes, a different size of round brushes, from very fine to very thick, and flat brushes to wet your paper and paint the bigger area. Brand can be anything. It should hold a lot of water and it should be pointed. So you can see this is the tip of the brush, this is the belly of the brush, and this is the handle of the brush. So a good brush should have a very fine tip and at the same time it should have a very fat belly depending on the size. Okay, and it can hold a lot of water or maybe color. So you can see it has a lot of water. Okay, all right. Any other question, guys?
So any type of different strokes for different areas.
Yeah, the strokes makes a lot of difference. So depending on the kind of textures and the kind of uh, force you want in the painting, you can use brush strokes.
Can you give
So
some
let's say,
example, sir?
okay, all right. So let's say this is uh, my land area, and if I need to draw some sort of grass here, so I'll be using slightly thicker color, and it's all about the strokes. You are painting this grass using the brush strokes only.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and you can add some sort of textures using the dry brush technique. So let's say if you want to add some sort of textures here, you can use this dry brushing technique. So can you see these textures? Brush control is very important while doing watercolor. I won't be able to cover everything within this 1 hour. So maybe I'll come up with more workshops and we'll cover the other topics as well. Okay. Like let's say if you want to create some sort of leaf, so you can use your brush like this. You need to press it slightly and then you need to put the pressure in between, then you need to lift it very slowly. So it's all about the control. No, you can use the same brush for the fine line as well and for the thicker line as well. No? Even you can paint a flat line as well like this. So depending on how you are using your brush and how much pressure you are applying on the paper, it will give you a different result.
Okay, sir.
So that's why your brush control is very important and you need to practice a lot.
Okay, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Anybody want to show their artwork or maybe anything they can show me? Uh, yeah, somebody has raised hand. So feel free to ask questions. Okay, so I think I should move ahead. And now we will paint the landscape and we'll see the process. Okay, Neha Katal. Hmm. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Good work, Neha. I can see a very soft blend and very controlled also, and your color is also very rich. So yeah, that's good. That is good. Rishabh, Samantha, you want to show something? Okay, Bhargav. Yeah, that's Rishabh. Very good.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, Bhargav, I can see. Yeah, that's very good. That's very good. That's perfect. Okay, cool. I forgot a very uh, important, very most important topic, which is water ripples and water reflection. Okay, so I'll talk about the water ripples, like how you can create those effects. So first, you need to observe the patterns of the ripple. So I'll just share my screen and we'll look at a few references. So now you need to observe the patterns here, so different kind of ripples and waves. Are you guys able to see the screen? Can anyone please confirm? Hello. Okay, all right. Okay, so now let's look at this image and just look at the colors here and the pattern. You can see the three color shades here, which is one is the highlights, and the one is the darker shades, and you can see the mid tone, which is blue. It's like a gradient, like the dark to light. So you need to observe these patterns. Like let's say if you want to paint some sort of this kind of ripples, so again you need to observe these highlights and the patterns here like this, and just focus on the contrast of the colors between the highlights and the darker tone and the mid tone. This is a good example, and you can see these colors, and it's very soft and you know I just look at this one also. So just notice these colors like here and the background color. It's not very contrast, but you can still see these shades here, and it's very soft and blended along with the background. Okay, and now let's look at some water reflection pencils. So just look at this water reflection. Okay, so you can see these distortions here in the water and these strokes. So depending on the kind of water body, you will get a different texture. Here you will, it's a very still water, so it's like a mirror to the upper one. And just notice here the gradient. Just look at the gradient here, like dark to light, and these patterns, like very soft, blended, and at the same time very not very contrast. Okay, it's very smooth and blended along with the background. So that's how you need to paint these kind of reflections and ripples. Okay, so I'll just demonstrate one. So first, you need to make a gradient. Okay, so you can use any color depending on the kind of what you are painting. And let's say if you are painting a muddy water, so you can just pick muddy color, and you can see my color palette here. So I'm using olive green and mixing burnt sienna. So it's very fluid and at the same time it's very rich. So I have added a lot of pigment as well and a lot of water as well. And now I will just make a gradient here. So let's say this is the darker area, and I'll just make a graded wash here. Okay, for making graded wash, you need to just blend these colors along with the water. Okay, so now you can see a smooth transition from dark to light. Okay, and now you need to add some magic here. Make sure your paper is still wet and it should have a lot of moisture on the paper. And now you need to make a thicker mixture to paint the shadows and the pattern. Okay, so I'll be using the same shade, but this time I'm not adding a lot of water. Okay, the mixture is very thick, and I'm making it slightly darker compared to the background. Okay, so I'm adding a shade of blue to make it slightly darker. Okay, and now you can see my paper is still, it has a lot of moisture. You can see the sheen on the paper, against the light. So this is the good time to paint these patterns and the ripple. So let's say I want to paint a ripple here. Yeah, you need to focus the perspective also. So as you come towards the foreground, you need to make your stroke slightly thicker. Okay, and just notice on the color contrast here. And just notice the thickness of the stroke there. These strokes are very fine and very thick because this is very far from us. Since this area is very close to us, so that's why you need to paint these strokes slightly thicker. Okay, and make sure your paper has a lot of moisture. It shouldn't be dry, otherwise you won't be able to get those soft blender. Okay, so you have to be quick. And the same way you can paint any kind of pattern to define your water body. But you need to start with the flat wash or maybe graded wash always. Okay, so let's say I'm again making a graded wash here. Also, the selection of your brush is very crucial. So let's say if you want to paint a bigger area, always choose a bigger brush. Okay, so let's say this is my wash. And now I'll paint a different kind of texture, but the process is the same. You need to make your mixture slightly thicker and slightly darker to the background. And your paper should be moist enough to get those soft results. So let's say I'm just painting some sort of shape here. So you can see this is all about the strokes. You know, as I'm coming closer, I'm making my strokes slightly thicker. And as I'm going towards the horizon, my strokes are very fine. So it creates a depth in your painting and the perspective. Yeah, just look at this result here. It's getting dry now, and you can see the result. Don't focus on this area. Just see this transition and the blend and the color contrast here. And at the same time, you can draw, you can paint any kind of pattern using this technique. Okay, clear? Any question? I know it's not very easy. You watercolor takes a lot of time, and it's all about the experience. But yeah, I can only tell you the technique, and you can keep practice and keep improving your art. Any questions so far?
No, sir.
Okay, so let's move ahead with the demonstration now, and I'll paint the image which I have shared. So this is the image I'm going to paint. Just check your email. I've just attached this image. Okay, but first let me clean my water. It's dirty now. So just give me a second. So I'm just marking my paper on the board. Just give me a second, guys. All right, so let's start. Let's start with the sketching first. Okay, you don't need to do a very detailed sketching. You just need to do a rough sketching. So first, always start with a horizon line. So I'm just drawing my horizon line here. Okay, this is like this is a ghat, some sort of building in the background here. And my main subject is these two boats. Okay, so I will draw these boats. Uh-huh. There are few books in the background as well. Okay, so I'm done with the drawing, and now I'll just wet the paper first. I'm going to wet the entire paper. Oops, guys, I was on mute. Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
हेलो बोलो यार म्यूट से हूँ तो किसी ने कुछ बोला भी
We can hear you.
नहीं Thanks, Rajarshi, for letting me know that I was on mute. So, Gaurav, we're talking about the brush. You can use brush to brush as well. It's not very expensive. You can get a set of four brushes around 700, and maybe you can use some sort of synthetic brush. So you have to make it completely dry. So that now you need to work on wet and dry technique. Okay, so I think this is completely dry now, and now I can add some details here. So I'll start painting those buildings in the background first. You don't need to add a lot of detail because it's in the background. You just need to give an impression and just define the shape there. So I'll just paint these structures. So right now I'm using wet on dry technique. So wet on dry technique is good for adding details, because you will get the hard edges now. Just need to focus on the light and shade to define the buildings here. Okay, so I'm just painting the shadowed area. You don't need to add a lot of details, okay? Just need to give an impression. And you can play with the colors. With this, I'm painting the darker area and defining the shapes of the thing. So you can see some sort of you know temple is coming out in the background here. I'm just painting the darker area, and I'll just paint some sort of patterns here. You can add some darker shades. You don't need to copy as it is, as you are seeing in the image. Feel free to use your own creativity. Maybe you can create some sort of stairs here. You know, Camel Artist Watercolor. Okay, so it's not about the brand. It's all about the technique of using this watercolor, understanding of the medium. I'm just kind of making some sort of buildings in the background, some temples. So now you can see coming out, and you can feel the building are in the background. You don't need to add a lot of detail. Okay, and now I'll paint those boats. Is it clear now? I think because of the network issue, it must be looking blurry. But I think it's clear now. You can see. Yeah, now I will paint those boats here. So I'm just working on bit on dry technique now. I'm just creating these boards in the background. So now I'll add some detail in the foreground. These are our main subjects, so I'm painting them in a detailed way. And now you can paint those reflections. So again, you just need to paint those patterns here. I'm just making these small. So you can add even darker colors on the bottom of the boards to create some sort of depth. I'm creating some depth and adding even darker pigments. And you just need to paint those patterns here. Okay, I'll let it dry once again completely to add the final touches. Yeah, I think this area is dry, so I can work on the board and add those final touches here. Are you guys enjoying it? Can
Yes,
we check
sir.
the recording? Yes. Uh, I will share the recording with you all. Don't worry about that. Great.
Sir, please take a look. I have also drawn with you.
Yeah, yeah, that's great.
Paint with you,
That's
sorry,
good.
sir.
Okay. I'm just adding some final details here. So I'm just adding, just clearing my painting. Now you can see this area is coming out. I just adding minor details. Okay, you can see this coat now. Does it look good? You can always change the composition according to your style. You don't need to copy the same because you're not taking a picture, you are painting it. So you are the artist of this painting. Okay. Maybe I can use dry brushing here to get the texture and you can see the result. So, yeah, this is almost done. I'll just use white poster to add some highlights. You can use white, but just avoid mixing white along with the other colors. You just need to use it opaque. So let's say you can add some sort of highlights here on the board. Maybe I can write down something. Not sure. I'm just adding random patches of the white. And maybe you can just draw some highlights. Maybe you can just create some flags here to give it a heart look. Maybe some crowd in the background. Maybe some people are sitting in the boat. I'm just adding some crowd here. Yeah, now can you see people are gathering?
Okay.
Okay, maybe I can just flatter some color here. So yeah, we are done with the painting here, and I'll just remove this tape. Yep. So thank you, Sheetal. You can see the closer look here. You can just look at the details on the boat and these patterns. Okay, all right. So you guys can ask questions if you have.
Sir, please share the schedule of practicing watercolor, like what to practice before using watercolor, like color theory or strokes or basic shading, like that.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so for watercolor practice, first you need to practice the brush controlling. So let's say if you're using your brush, and then you need to practice those pressure control. You know, just take your brush and try to draw some fine line. Don't rest your hand on the paper. Just do it freehand and use the same brush and add paint the thicker line in line. Just use same like for the horizontal line. Yeah. At the same time, you can use the curvy lines there. Use dry brushing technique. So these are the brush control practice. And for the color observation and to perfect your drawing, you should practice a still life. Sure, Bhargav, you can share your painting on Instagram and just please tag me on my tag me both account actually. That would be great. So yeah, that's the basic thing you need to practice and just try to do a lot of live drawing to improve your sketching.
What is the most important thing we should remember in watercolor?
The control of water, you just need to make a proper ratio and the proper timing of applying the color. Okay,
Okay,
that's
sir.
very important.
Sir, I just last question I want to ask you that uh, suppose we have in pencil sketch we use shadow and light for depth.
Okay. Mhm.
Suppose there is a we just like a forest in a forest canopy, just like a canopy. How to show a canopy? How to show a canopy, sir? Means if
See, in the watercolor, you always have to start with your base color. Okay,
okay,
for that you need to use the wet on wet technique, and
okay,
you can keep adding layers to add the depth in your painting. Okay,
okay, sir. Okay, sir.
so depends whether if you want a very soft and controlled blend, so just keep working on the wet on wet. And if you want very hard edges and very detailed things, so work on the wet on dry technique.
Okay,
Okay,
sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
most welcome. Any other question? All right, guys. So let's end this session for today. And thank you so much for joining.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing valuable information. Thank you, sir.
You're most welcome. You're most welcome. Okay. All right. Just feel free to share your artwork on Instagram. You can take screenshot and put it on your story and tag me. All right.